It's so important that we all learn these narcissistic tactics and these narcissistic tricks. So this video, I'm going to unpack more of the traits that they use to manipulate and control us. Because the more of these tactics and more of these traits that you learn, the more you can be able to better protect yourself. And think of this almost as like a survival guide for this emotional, chaotic jungleness that we just kind of found ourselves stuck into that we didn't ask for. And what you'll find is narcissists use shame a lot. Shame is like in their toolkit of a toxic person. It's like a verbal flamethrower that just scorches the landscape of your self-esteem. And beyond just mere criticism, it's an all-out assault. And narcissists wield shame as if it were like a chain that's kind of tethered to your heartstrings, to your soul. And they pull at them and they manipulate them, all just at their own, to meet their own desires and their own needs and their own whims. And you think about it, it's like before you met them, it's just like your self-esteem was probably at a normal level. And you were thriving in your own world, in your own way. And you had your own accomplishments. And then enters this toxic narcissist, acting as if they're just this one person, apocalypse. And then they go around launching these verbal missiles of just, shame in order just to obliterate you. Everything that you hold dear is what a narcissist will attack, will try to dismantle in some way. It's like they completely blow up your world, both internally and externally. Doesn't matter to them. Everything is fair game. And what's their goal? Their goal is to reduce your life and of your pride and of your dignity into just rubble. The narcissist will take the most tender parts of your history, just those raw moments, those little things that have happened to you over time. And if they were a loving person, they would help you heal. They would add like a little bond to it. They would help you grow. But instead, it's just like as soon as they find you have a weakness, what do? They sprinkle salt on it. Because they want to hurt. They don't want to heal. They want to hurt. It's like they're archaeologists that are just activating pain and suffering. They look for this as ammunition in their campaign of domination. And they're so bent and they're so twisted. Narcissists. They have the gall to blame you for the wounds that they inflict. It's like criticizing a ship for sinking after it's been torpedoed. It's just like, well, ships don't survive torpedoes. That's just not how it works. And suddenly it becomes your fault for being sensitive to their constant jabs. And it's just not right. The way they manipulate things. It just be like, oh, you got a headache. Oh, it's probably because, you didn't fold my laundry properly. Because even your hurt becomes a crime against them in some way. It's just such twisted logic. And the second you realize that, a narcissist is looking for your vulnerability, it's just like, all right, well, that's a key sign to put them under lock and key, because you can trust somebody. And if they take your trust and they earn it and they help you, then obviously you can reveal more to them. But if they're taking these vulnerabilities and later using them against you, well, guess what? It's like that drawbridge of my vulnerabilities is closing. You protect them. You protect your vulnerabilities like precious gems in a treasure chest, lock and key, until like you're absolutely certain that the person that you're with, that you can trust them. And a narcissist just starts to shame you. It's just like noticing that these verbal volleys that are being played, it's about recognizing that the strikes for what they are. It's a sign of their weaknesses and their insecurities and their frailty. It has nothing to do with you. And once you see that, what you're going to realize is that, they're shaming you because there's something wrong with them, not you. And what you realize is the words that they use, they're not true. They're all just these desperate ramblings of someone who's trying to dump their insecurities onto you. And once we see that, we can easily kindly say, yeah, no, absolutely not. And it's like we create this inner sanctuary that's free from narcissistic delusion. And it's full of self-appreciation, knowing who I am. And if you know who you are, then be around people that also know who you are. Because what you're starting to do is you're trying to create this old network, people that have got your back. And this doesn't just become a defensive strategy. It becomes a counteroffensive to reclaim your story, your honor, and your authenticity, because of the people around you that know exactly who you are and what you represent. And that's when you discover your own authenticity. That's where, the words that are coming out of a narcissist's mouth, they're actually them projecting them onto you. So it's more of a mirror of their own shame. Because the way that they're making you feel is the way that they feel on the inside. And once you have that ability to see through this little smokescreen of theirs, you realize that every time they try to belittle you or try to get a rise out of you, you see it for what it is. And you just kind of go back to who you are. And if the label doesn't fit, then, let it go. Because nobody gets to decide who you are but you. And when you get out of these relationships, when you get out of these toxic dynamics, like you emerge unbroken and unbendable. You realize that it's just like you were actually unbreakable. And even though a narcissist may have tried to take you out, try to break you, it's like they failed. They failed because you're a survivor and you're still going to punch through it. On the other end, it's just like, never again do we ever experience these things again. Not to that level. We'll be able to notice it so much quicker, be able to set boundaries and be able to just kind of say no and move on with our lives so much quicker. It's not that we should be grateful for this experience, but it ends up being a learning experience. It's learning through the school of hard knocks, but once you learn through the school of hard knocks, it's like that stuff becomes in your core, and that's where it's just like, no, I can't be broken by delusions and all of these shaming tactics, because it's not my shame. And I do hope that you got a lot of information out of this. I hope you found it helpful. If you do, all I ask is you give me a like, give me a follow, or go through my feed, see if there's other videos on there that inspire you even further. And if you're new to my feed and don't know who I am, my name is Miles. I'm a recovery coach. I help people process the trauma, because this is like, it's so mind bending, the stuff that narcissists can do to our brains, and it takes a while for everything to unpack. And what I use is hypnotherapy with my clients, and it's been really helpful. If you want to find more information about it, just type in Narcovery Recovery in the comments, and I'll post a link, and you can find more about my program there. And thank you so much for watching.